Fall. Time for seeding, time for fertilizing, time to get our yard back from the summer. And this is the forecast.
A major weather pattern change will be coming to the United States over the next few days, and this is about to bring an even more intense heat wave to much of the United States, with temperatures as high as the 90s and 100s as far north as Illinois and Iowa.
Now, that's obviously not a traditional forecast for fall. Here I am in the mid-Atlantic. I've not got any rain for the last 10 days, not one single drop in the next 10-day forecast. Not a single drop at all. So basically, we are probably going to go through the entire month of September when we need to be doing our overseeding without a drop of rain. I'm going to talk about overseeding for you guys that have already pulled the trigger and you have it on the ground and it's not coming up. I'm going to explain what's going on and maybe make you feel a bit better of what your future may hold. Those of you who are going to be overseeding, I'm going to go over why you want to hold off on that until the weather pattern changes. We're going to talk about fertilizer and some of the things we need to be doing and considering in these unique weather forecasts, this unique weather pattern that we're in probably until October. So let's get started. Quick story as far as growing in, overseeding, whatever. Some of you guys seen the channel, talked about this before. We had a putting green we actually put in at Presserwood Country Club in Raleigh, North Carolina back in the mid-90s. Huge putting green. It was an acre wide. And if I find it on Google Earth, I'll put it here. They've actually changed it. I'm pretty sure they've removed it because it was just a maintenance nightmare. It's too doggone big. I think they kind of put it in as a novelty sort of thing. But anyway, we anticipated it being done in May, and it wasn't done until July. That sometimes happens in construction. That's just the way things go. We went ahead and seeded it, thinking, well, we'll give it a shot, try to get it to grow in. It did nothing until September. A guy on the Facebook page, and this is what inspired this video. Backyard, he had shade, came in pretty good. Front yard was sun, didn't come in at all. This summer, soil temperatures are up. Check soil surface temperatures around here. A few spots where I'm having trouble getting seed in myself. Exceeding 100 and going anywhere from 116 to 122 degrees. That's hot. So you have this abscisic acid, which is a hormone in that seed. You also have gibberellic acid. Whenever you are pre-germinating seed, I go over this in the pre-germination video. This is why we're switching that water out every 24 hours. I do it every 12. You're supposed to blend it every 24 hours or mix it every 24 hours and switch out the water to get these seed inhibitors, seed germination inhibitors out of the water. If not, it's going to get in the seed and then you're really screwed. So anyway, what is happening is these are preventing the seed from germinating. Those of you who have not overseeded yet or seeded yet, hold off until the weather pattern changes. I had a guy on the Facebook page, I think he said Twin City Seed in his particular area, Zone 5, and Twin City Seed knows what the hell they're talking about. They recommended for him to go ahead and seed, I think it was Zone 5 or Zone 6, can't remember. Probably Zone 5, I'm in Zone 6, before October 1st. That's on an average year, okay? I always use the joke, you take the average, okay, you got your one left foot in a bucket of water and your right foot on a frying pan, and then the average is 75 degrees. You should be totally comfortable, right? You guys have heard that. This is an unusual year. So you can probably go past that time because it's hotter than the dickens right now. And we also are dealing with a drought. Wait until we are out of this weather pattern, starting to get some steady rains and these temperatures begin to go down before you seed. Those of you who have seeded and now you're stuck, not necessarily. You can make those conditions available by putting a thicker layer of mulch on that grass. Basically, you're making that shade, okay, like underneath the shade tree on that grass. Use a thicker mulch. I think Barnberg recommended a burlap sack. Put a burlap sack on top. Shade that grass. So when you want to take all that off, when that seed has germinated and gets to about probably an inch, maybe a little higher, not much more than that, you want to reduce your mulch so you get a little bit of sun in there, because what happens is you have something called the endosperm. Okay, do the Beavis and Butthead laugh. That actually feeds the seedling until it gets to that point. When that is gone, then there's nothing else to feed that seedling other than photosynthesis. And if you have it covered fairly significantly, it's not going to be able to go ahead and get some of that sunlight in, make that photosynthesis, or do the photosynthesis and actually create its own energy. So when you get to that point, monitor it, remove that sack, if you will, reduce your mulch a little bit. But that is how you're going to get it shaded, bring that temperature down, kick those inhibitors off, and then get the seed that you've already put on the ground to pop and to come in. That's option one. Option two, maybe a little more tricky, and this is getting in a little bit of theory on my part, is stop watering. The grass that seed is essentially in dormancy. It's either dormancy or it's going to be dead. If it's dead, you're not doing it. It's already dead. You can't make any more deader. If it's in dormancy, it's probably going to stay there until the weather pattern changes. So when you get a rain coming in, you get your rain, you get that cloud cover, cools it down, and you get that natural thing. The natural thing that needs is rain. You get those few days and then that starts. Because if you seeded it here in the last, particularly in the mid-Atlantic, my area, which I put out seed, I'm having a heck of a time with it too. You put it out during this drought, and you've been watering, which I have as well. Tired of pulling the damn hose. I've actually used a thicker mulch on it. I'm trying that. I've had some limited success with that. There again, you can also just stop seeding and wait. And particularly if you've got some extra seed on hand where you can go out with another, probably a quarter rate on what you've got. If you have seed left, maybe go ahead and put it out right prior to that rain event. Just make sure you're going to get that rain and go ahead and seed it. I'm trying to give you guys a strategy to where you're not just throwing water on a ground, on a seed that is not going to pop. Fertilization, what should we be doing? Obviously, potassium and phosphorus is not going to make them much difference. You can put that at any time based on soil test. Have a soil test video. You guys can check that out. As far as nitrogen, do not put any nitrogen down. I know right now, cool season grasses, right now, we really need to put nitrogen down. It's time to get caught up from the summer. Particularly if you have germination, ideally put nitrogen out. However, if you put nitrogen out right now, yes, you are going to get that topical growth, but you do not want this plant putting a whole bunch of effort into getting grass topical growth unless you're irrigating your lawn and continue to irrigate. Give you a couple of options as far as fertilization in the fall. One, I do like the Stay Green Max. It's at Lowe's. It may be on sale. It's 100% slow release nitrogen. It's a 3003. It is a polymer-coated urea. I really like polymer-coated urea, not sulfur polymer-coated urea, polymer-coated urea. Polymer coating feeds as temperature increases, and therefore it feeds less when temperature decreases, meaning it is basically, if it goes cold, when it does in the fall, this will feed for 12 weeks. So it'll feed a heck of a lot longer than that in the winter, because when it gets cold, it won't feed. It'll probably last until probably late April, early May, depending on your line of latitude. Here's a simple solutions product I actually have on a fertilizer list on my Amazon storefront. Leave a QR code here. I'll leave links in the description to those as well, and my herbicide list and everything else. You guys want to check those out. The one thing about the simple solutions is it is a 50% slow release polymer coated urea. The nice thing about that is if you do go late, you're going to get this big bump because half of that is water soluble, meaning you're going to get that big bump. So if it really cools down, you are going to get a lot of sugars in the plant putting this one out. Plus it has phosphorus and potassium in, depending on which way you want to go. I put this out when I aerified here this spring. Really liked it. It really fed me about all summer. I really like polymer coated ureas. They put out on a steady pace, and they're really good. So either one of these would be great, but if you want a big pop, go with the 21-714 from Simple Solutions. You can get it from Amazon. Irrigating, totally different than summer. There again, my ambient air temperatures right now are floating around the 70s, which is pretty a happy spot. If I had rain, we'd be a happy place. The evapotranspiration, there are several factors involved with that. One is wind, sunlight, day length. Day length is going lower. We are having some dew in the morning, though this morning it's so dry here, I'm not even having dew anymore. But what I am getting by with in zone 6B is doing about a half an inch about every third or fourth day. This is where the infrequent and deep guys, okay, you're right. And there again, I've had this on the other videos, in the shoulder seasons, you can go infrequent and deep. You are not getting this, the turf does not need nearly as much water as it does during the summer. During the summer, you got to be pounding it. This is the time. This would be a good time if you are irrigating to go ahead and do that infrequent and deep and have those roots, because right now with these air temperatures being what they are, that rooting will take off. And particularly if you lay off your fertilizer, which I'll talk about, I can't remember where I'll put this segment of the video, before or after I talk about it. If you do lay off the nitrogen, your grass will put its resources in that rooting, which it wants to do anyway during the fall. So about every 3 days, maybe a half inch, maybe a third of an inch, you'll be good to go. And I've had really good success with doing that here in Zone 6B. Aerification. Ground's too damn hard. I mean, you're not going to get anything in this ground. There again, if you're irrigating, all bets are off. I'm talking to guys that do not have an irrigation system, that you have limited resources. That's the majority. Unless the ground is moist, it's really not worth aerifying. I had a question on aerification. Can I aerify late in the year? I think so. There again, not a normal year. Those of you in zone 4 and 5, you're probably putting things to bed 1st of October. I think that's going to be closer to, you're going to be closer to what I do here on zone USDA plant hardness zone is what I'm talking about. You guys can, here's QR code. You guys can go to that website, type it in, you know where I'm talking. And that lets me talk to all of you guys, communicate what's going on. I can also mentally put it to what's my zone is versus yours. I'm in zone 6B. My ideal time to seed is between Labor Day and on October 15th. This weather pattern changes. It's probably going to be Halloween, maybe first, second week in November, particularly if it's this warm. It's not an average year. So let's not do averages. Let's do what's going on now, okay? That's what I'm making this video about. Trying to get you guys to realize, if you're looking at these publications and talking to these folks, they're giving you averages. I'm giving you what's here and now. I would even think that if it, boom, went from 98 degrees, exaggerating, down to 40, the soil is going to stay warm for a while, particularly if you have these 90-degree days in September, particularly Illinois, and if you're bumping up into the southern Minnesota, Michigan, soil temperature is not going to go down that fast. It's going to store a decent amount of heat. So there again, my prediction is you're going to be later in the year, so don't feel bad. Now, we're talking about dormancy. I did talk about seed dormancy a little bit. It may be in that dormancy. To get it out of that dormancy, there again, you need to put more mulch on if you have pulled the trigger. Those of you who have not overseeded yet, I would wait till later, as I alluded. Herbicide applications. If you guys are going out with a herbicide application, now granted, I did mention the mesotrione for pre-emergent application of Poania and maybe killing Poania. I'd hold off on that too. And the reason being is you put it out at seeding. Secondly, your grass, the weeds, nothing is really going to grow. It's really not going to absorb anything in these temperatures, none of these stresses, unless you are aggressively watering it. If you are, that does change the game a bit for herbicide applications and fertilizer applications. But you all who are not watering your grass, just hold off on things. The grass is simply not going to absorb it because it's just too doggone dry, too doggone hot. And that's just the way it is. So, and that's what I'm doing. I've got a yard across the street I've been doing a bit of a trial on, and I was due to put out another application of herbicide 2 Thursdays ago, and it's just been too damn dry. There's no sense in me going over there and treating it, because I don't think it's going to get in the plant or any of those. Okay, that's managing things through the drought, through this heat wave, through this very unique year. I just had that on the Facebook page where I've got guys having trouble getting grass seed to germinate. I wanted to put out a video to give you guys a little bit of comfort and a little bit of idea what was going on. Few ideas of what to do, and don't get panicky in these guidelines you get, because things change and you can go a little later. You can do a few more things differently based on the conditions that you have. There again, these are guidelines. So don't panic. Anyway, and there again, as I say, it's not that complicated. So I'm agronomist Greg Phillips. Appreciate you watching. Thanks.